you. I contributed 2 poems to this book, and I'm going to read one of them today. But before that, I thought I would mention a little bit of the background behind the story. My grandmother died when I was 13 years old. I'm now 39, so that is really like 2/3 of my lifetime ago. I have to say that watching the documentary today brought back a lot of memories for me. Just watching it brought back a lot of memories for me. I think that was an excellent documentary, and it really brought back a lot of feelings for me about how it was when the last couple of years of my grandmother's life, when she was basically her mind had disappeared. Her mind had very much disappeared by then. It was a very difficult time for my family. And back then, I don't think we even knew that there was such a word as Alzheimer's. Certainly I didn't. I believe my parents probably didn't either. We didn't know there was such a thing as dementia. We probably thought of it as, this is one of those things that just happen when there's old age. It is terrible. It is something that you really find difficult to talk about to relatives. For instance, things like this will happen. Relatives will come to visit, and my grandmother will tell them that they have not fed me, they have not given me food for weeks, and things like that. And relatives will look at us and with these very suspicious eyes, like we have been abusing her in some very terrible ways. And that was really very, very difficult. So I was 13. I think it was difficult when I was in primary 4, primary 5, and 6, up to the time of her death. And quite frankly, when she died, I felt relieved. And then I felt guilty for feeling relieved. But I definitely remember at that age feeling relieved when she passed away. And I had a sense of guilt for quite a number of years after that. I wouldn't say there's anything like, trauma or whatever, but always there was this sense of guilt that we could have done better. Because looking after a person like that can be very stressful, as I suspect many in this room, where it can be very stressful, emotionally straining. It can definitely be that way. And I think there were times when definitely we could have acted with more love, more patience, and so on, and we did not. And for that, I carried a sense of guilt for quite a number of years. Later on, around the time of university, I developed an interest in creative writing, and I wrote poetry. That was when I began to write poetry. So now I have more than 100 poems published over the years in all sorts of different places. But that was when I started to write poetry. And at that time, poetry to me was a way to explore my own feelings and my own experiences and what was going on in my own head, right? And of course I thought of my grandmother. And I did write a poem then about my grandmother. In fact, it was one of the first poems that I ever had published anywhere. I remember that it was published by in the publication at NUS, which is run by Professor Edwin Kampu, for those of you who know about literature. It's quite an eminent figure there, so I had it published there. And this poem meant a lot to me personally, because at that age, it was like 20, early 20s, looking back, I realized that it was very unfair on myself to feel guilty about my grandmother. Because I was only 10, 11, 12 years old, trying my best to cope in whatever way I could with the fact that my grandmother's mind was disappearing, and it was so difficult to care for her, and it was a big strain for me and everybody else in the family. So I wrote this poem, and I have to say that after that, I felt a lot better. So I'm going to read this poem first, and it is entitled Grandmother's Garden. In later years, she sat here rarely. Most of the time she lay on the bed, in a darkened room, where the air was musty and sunlight never shone. as well as I could. I kept it growing for her. She could no longer do it for herself. Yet, her life was linked to this place. I watered her orchids of golden shower, unchoked her potted plants from weeds. With a stone, I crushed the life from snails and fed them to the earth. After storms, I helped fallen shrubs to climb to light again. Sometimes a sunbird would come to sip nectar from my grandmother's flowers, and every new year the kumquat branches would fill with orange fruit. In the years that passed, not a single bonsai died. A tree can live forever. She would go more easily, I sensed, if she knew that the life here would endure long after she herself had left. So that's it for me. Very understandable. So if I have a last message for people in this room, it's that the journey is difficult. It is very difficult. And there will be times when you feel that you have not done your best, but I believe that you are all doing your best in difficult circumstances. You are all always doing your best. Don't be hard on yourself. You are all doing the best that you can with the resources available to you at the time. I'm talking about the resources, your emotional strength.